President.
Senator Feeney.
Thank you, Mr. President. Rise on amendment number 544, titled Protecting Massachusetts Labor Unions and Workers from Federal Threats. Mr. President, the National Labor Relations Act is the bedrock of private sector labor relations and governs union organizing across the country and here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And it has done so and has been settled law of the United States since 1935. Currently, labor protections for private sector workers exist only through federal law, through the National Labor Relations Act and the rulings made by the National Labor Relations Board, the NLRB. That federal law is now under new and emerging legal threats. Not a shock to many who are paying attention. Along with the almost 100 years of federally protected union status for roughly around 200,000 employees in Massachusetts today. If the NLRA fails or is otherwise dismantled, or there is a declination of jurisdiction from those who uphold these rights for workers, there will be almost no statutory protections for private sector union organizing in the Commonwealth under our existing state law. This presents a challenge. This amendment before us has a simple solution. The amendment provides a statutory backstop in the event that federal authority is dismantled or for some reason does not apply to private sector workers. This is simply a trigger law. We've done it before in this chamber, especially recently. And all that means, Mr. President, is that its provisions will only be implemented in a very specific instance for a very specific reason and under a very limited, structured set of circumstances. And that is evident in this most recent redraft, where we got to a very, very prescriptive set of reasons that this law would actually be triggered. Should the NLRA be repealed or the NLRB decline jurisdiction, workers in Massachusetts would be left without a modern framework of labor management relations to rely on at the state level. So this amendment simply ensures that Massachusetts labor statutes achieve parity, and only parity, with the National Labor Relations Act. This keeps everything in line with the NLRA, nothing more, nothing less, Mr. President. At a time when the right to organize is facing steep challenges federally, the time is now to enshrine these rights here in Massachusetts. As a just in case, again, we don't aim to expand any laws here for workers in this amendment. We're simply protecting the ones that already exist. We can continue to set a good example for those protections that are consistent with federal law. As I said, Mr. President, this redrafted amendment does not expand any rights. It just preserves over 90 years of existing rights that workers have had to rely on. Massachusetts has always led on workers' rights, Mr. President. We all know that. This body has led on workers' rights time and time again. And this amendment just ensures that we continue to do so. I want to thank, Mr. President, all of the working people who elevated this issue, led very ably, as always, by the Massachusetts AFL-CIO and many of the other unions that had an interest in this language. But I also want to thank the many business groups that we've engaged with over these last few weeks, last few months actually, as we're kind of going through this language. I want to thank them for engaging with us in those discussions. Candid discussions, of course, sometimes difficult, sometimes challenging, but I want to thank them as well for being at the table and continuing to talk about these issues to make sure that workers are protected in Massachusetts. And finally, I want to thank our Senate President, Senator Spilka, who has always prioritized workers' rights here in the Senate. This is a priority of the Senate. We know that, and we're going to ensure that people see the message coming out of this amendment tonight, that we're doing the same. The passage of this amendment, we send a message to the workers of the Commonwealth in the event that the federal administration steps back. The Massachusetts Senate, Massachusetts Legislature will step up. Thank you, Mr. President. I hope this amendment is adopted.